Psychedelics are suppressed because they dissolve cultural preconceptions. It's just that simple. Dissolving cultural preconceptions is not something the establishment is into fostering. Of course not. But what is so maddening is, if you look at the world as we have inherited it, you see that we have the food to feed everyone. We have the resources to deliver a comfortable life to everyone. What is required is a change of mind. Change of mind. We need to change our mind. And this is something which people hate to do, but I think very few people go through life without having to do it at some point or another. And, you know, it's actually quite painless, and you can really get into it. You just say, you know, I said I'd never do that, so now I'm doing it. It's very clear that we must change our minds, and the beginning of it must come from the high-tech industrial democracies. The average person on this planet is black, young, female, third world, and poor. That's who's waiting for the honky world to get its ass together. And we are at the top of a very narrow cultural pyramid that has been tolerated only restlessly to this point. And as a global informational culture begins to take place, people are finding out what the score is. And so it becomes incumbent upon everyone to change their mind. And this is understood everywhere, in the corporate boardrooms, in the military planning centers, everywhere. The question is, how shall we change our minds? Shall we turn ourselves into a Ken and Barbie society of consumeristic robots, unquestioningly following some boiled down ideology that is essentially one of unquestioned loyalty, unending consumption, unending toleration of stupidity? This is one point of view. It's a point of view which fears people. It's an aristocratic, oligarchic point of view. The notion that, you know, the mob must be controlled, if not opium, television, if not that, pornography. Always holding human nature at bay, seeing it as something which, if ever unleashed, would roll over the more delicate sensitivities of a master class. Or can there be a return to partnership, a return to work on what has been spoiled by the father, which means internal work on the misogyny which is inherent in the most self-congratulatory and enlightened bastions of the New Age, you bet your booties. A world where there is a sense of global responsibility, a sense of a family, a sense of obligation to ourselves as a tribe, and then secondarily to the environment in which we have placed ourselves. We inherit the hopes and fears of 1,000 generations of thinking ancestors. There is a mystery embedded in the destiny of this planet. This is not business as usual. and history does not stretch out across the centuries of the future. It isn't like that. History is the generation of a process of singularity. It is anticipated in the magical flight of shamanism, in the philosopher's stone, in alchemy, in the flying saucer of modern syncretic religion. It is this anticipation of a tool-making intervention into our own fate that springs from our own inner resources. This is why the shaman is related to the smith, because we are literally attempting to forge the cauldron of our destiny, the container of our post-historical fate. The image of the cauldron is the image of the maternal womb. We are apparently some kind of information replicating process embedded in biology, but transcendent to it, and only transiently, in terms of historical time, only transiently can we do business with biology. This is why history is like an enormous leap over 25,000 years from the cave paintings at Lascaux, the Venus figurines, the first flutes, to, departure into our own imagination by having created a kind of hyperdimensional electronic coral reef, extraplanetary, interiorized, exteriorized, post-historical culture. It's going to happen one way or another. Either that, these are our best hopes. Our worst hopes are simply Armageddon, plague, disease, and pushing things back to where they were before the last ice age. I don't relish that. And I think that shamanism is essentially an anticipation of this project of care for the planet. It is ecology, it is partnership, it is sensitivity to the flowing current of the Tao, it is an awareness of the frailty of the human vessel, and yet a simultaneous awareness that the transcendental mystery in its utter transforming splendor somehow cuts tangential through the low section of being that we represent. This is what all religions, all esoteric traditions teach, but they have taken it and used it to their own purposes. All these traditions can be traced back to the worldwide shamanism that spread over the planet as the last glaciers melted. And it is a tradition, I believe, of actually anticipating the future, of actually accessing information that is drifting back through time from a final apotheosis of human becoming, that whatever it is that is loose in us, it creates its own self-images over and over again. That's what civilization is. Technology is the shock wave that follows upon the revelations of language. As we say it shall be, so it becomes, and then we become what we have created. This process of bootstrapping through language to more and more alien levels of beauty, which we call style, art, the revelation of the human soul. This is the vector that points a way out of the iron prison of Gnosticism and the mute world of Sartre's existentialism. It is to recognize and take as one's field of experience, as one's rightful birthright, the full spectrum of human possibilities.